When TikTok was banned for 14 hours, what I referred to in the past as the Great American Blackout, a mark was made on the world. And no, it wasn't influencers staining their pants with piss as they made videos breaking down about TikTok's inevitable ban.
I am done! Done!
Are you there? Hello? Are you still there?
Rather, it was those same influencers staining their entire reputation online when they admitted to everyone that they were lying about the very content that gave them that influence. Now, I've already made an entire video discussing the on and off relationship that America has had with TikTok and how that all led up to a ban and a Donald Trump glazing competition. So I'm not going to go over all of that again in this video. At the end of that video though, I vaguely mentioned how influencers had admitted to lying to their audiences. I didn't think that I was going to make an entire video about the situation, so I just haphazardly included a quick segment about it in that video. As time has gone on though, I've developed stronger feelings towards the situation. More importantly, I've seen other people get tons of views on their videos about the same subject, so I want to cash in. I'm only kidding, of course. If I'm being totally honest, I've recently realized that there's a lot more I want to say about this topic than I had initially thought. Influencers lying about vital parts of their content is only one cog in a system of audience exploitation. Instead of just concentrating on the lies that they admitted to leading up to the TikTok ban, I realized that I'd much rather make an entire video calling out everything wrong with influencer culture as we know it, including, but not limited to, the lies that they told us. I, like many of you, hate the word influencer. In fact, hating on the word influencer is the one thing that nearly every corner of the internet can agree on, and that is for good reason. Actually, I remember once when I was talking to my neighbor and she asked me what I do for a living. I told her that I make videos and post them on social media. After that, she looked right at me and said, "So you're like an influencer?" I put on a happy face and conceded, saying, "Kind of." When I came back the next day with 12 gallons of gasoline and a box of matches, though, I was not smiling. The name influencer kind of speaks for itself. Zoella, Alicia Marie, Alex Earl, Emma Chamberlain, and so on are the kinds of people who we typically refer to as influencers. Although Mr. Beast has influence, I wouldn't really consider him an influencer. I'd actually consider him a sadist. In a fairly undisguised etymology, the word influence comes from the Latin for inflow, which provides an image of the way that every second, our thoughts now stream into one another's pockets. To me, influencers are a very specific kind of content creator. They curate their lives to seem aspirational and near perfect. Their work consists of vlogging and going out to eat, though their primary content is promoting products to their audiences through paid advertisements or undisclosed sponsorships. Mr. Beast does do sponsored deals, but he doesn't sell his lifestyle and, by extension, products to imitate that lifestyle to his audience. On one level, influencer is an anodyne commercial label, describing someone who monetizes an online following by endorsing products or services, a celebrity spokesperson for the social media age. And yet influencer also sounds slightly sinister. Influencer at one point in time did not elicit this kind of imagery. The word, like a lot of words in English actually, save for, I don't know, gooning, can be dated all the way back to the time of Shakespeare. Lawrence Scott wrote for The New Yorker in 2019 saying, "The word influence appears in a quarter of William Shakespeare's plays, in which a condition of being influenced is rarely happy or dignified." In Measure for Measure, Vincentino argues as misguided to fear death since human life is so inescapably servile to all the skie influencers that hourly afflict this earth. Influential mortals, meanwhile, often mock those who are susceptible to influence. Paroles, the vulgar, unreliable soldier in All's Well That Ends Well, encourages the young Count Bertram to exploit his position in the court, which is populated, Paroles says, by those who eat, speak, and move under the influence of the most received star. Before the blogger era, the biggest influencers were mainstream celebrities who would influence popular culture and trends. Without social media, some of their influence was limited though. Celebrities had limited opportunities for brands to influence mass audiences. Whether the celebrity was seen wearing branded clothing, drinking Coca-Cola, or present in a commercial, most of the time these were expensive endorsements with limited return on investment measurability when compared to today. With the widespread adoption of computers and cell phones throughout the 2000s, we saw the rise of the blogger. Well, not we. I didn't. I was still watching Nickelodeon. That's where I got my foot fetish from. Before the popularity of YouTube, or even before Instagram videos hit the market, bloggers were the first modern-day influencers, sharing many similarities with today's influencers, except it was all in text, not video format. Reading. How Riveting. Since the beginning of social media more than a decade ago, mommy bloggers were the most influential communicators on the market, said technology entrepreneur Lon Safko, author of the Social Media Bible. So much so, the FTC had to create a mommy blogger law enacted in 2012 that stated any blogger receiving any form of compensation from a company of which the blogger is giving their review has to state that clearly in the first line of their blog, Safko explained. Despite the word obviously being incredibly versatile, the meaning has warped over the past decade to produce images of beautiful white women in modern homes selling makeup products and getting a cup of coffee from Starbucks every day. Therefore, the influencer market is mostly filled with women, and in terms of the stereotypical meaning of the word, it has a certain feminine quality to it. Of course, this also leads to a misogyny that's often directed at women who are influencers, because if something is popular within a female demographic, then it must be stupid and lesser than. It's important to acknowledge this, and while I hate influencers and the act of influencing, it's not because a lot of them are women. It's because a lot of them are liars. There are exceptions to this, of course, in both the female and liar department. James Charles could be considered influencer, among other things. The Kardashians, despite being traditional celebrities, are often regarded as influencers due to the amount of sponsored posts that they do. It's not surprising that these ladies take up paid partnerships with brands, seeing how their Instagram accounts alone have a collective following of well over 1 billion people. In 2020, the influencer market was valued at $9.7 billion. Now in 2025, that value has more than tripled. Other traditional celebrities have also been embracing the influencer label, since making money on their huge social platforms can sometimes be more lucrative than their other forms of employment. Cristiano Ronaldo, the most followed person on Instagram, has even posted Herbalife advertisements on his account as recently as January of 2025. Liver damage isn't a deal breaker when you could ask for upwards of $500,000 in exchange for one post. Today, though, we're not going to be covering traditional celebrities and their transition into the influencer marketing life. What's more interesting to me are niche internet celebrities, like a woman who slathers pounds of foundation all over her face, yet still claims that she does her makeup just like that every day. We know that Kim Kardashian's or Leo Messi's lives are not attainable, but the average Joe, some of us may be willing to believe that. Rebecca Jennings wrote for Vox about the de-influencing trend from 2 years ago. Michael Cerizio, journalist and communications professor at Boston College and author of the new book, The Authenticity Industries, Keeping It Real in Media, Culture, and Politics, explores the commodification of identity, why selling out has no meaning anymore, and why amateurs, that is to say regular people on social media, make the most effective salespeople. The vast majority of content we consume when we're on social media is by amateurs as opposed to professionals, and that's a dramatic shift in terms of how we've gotten our media content over the years, he says. The notion of the amateur is that they're doing it for love and not for money. They enjoy the creative expression. They have no ulterior motives. That has created the expectation audiences that these folks are trustworthy, and that's exactly what makes them valuable to then sell on behalf of marketers and corporations. You see, when you have a population of people who are addicted to their phones and who can't afford to have the lifestyles that these influencers promote, you end up with an audience of people who feel like they're not good enough. You need to get up and do the same 4-hour morning routine I do in order to have your life together. You need to spend your money on the products that I use so you can be just like me. Perfect! People have long looked at influencers as aspirational. Comparison can be worth a lot of money. But as the economy has shifted and audiences have become more critical, influencers aren't let off as scot-free as they used to be. Maybe it's just my corner of the internet, but I see much more anti-influencer content now than I used to in, say, 2017. Going back to the New Yorker article, the author mentions the popular and extremely gay classic, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and its relation to the modern-day influencer. The novel's irresponsible influencer, Lord Henry, also admits that all influence is immoral. To influence a person is to give him one's own soul. He does not think his natural thoughts are burned with his natural passions. His virtues are not real to him. His sins, if there are such things as sins, are borrowed. In Wilde's novel, to be influenced is to be dominated, to experience an eclipse of personality. Lord Henry describes the influenced person as someone who no longer has a genuine identity. Such a person's motivations are unreal and unnatural because they originate with someone else. These influencers are not being honest. I think all of us know this at this point. They are curating their lives to make it seem like they have it all together. Their unspoken goal is to make you feel bad enough about yourself so that you'll go out and buy from their Amazon storefront. Normal people don't have the time to have a perfectly spotless house, or to spend 3 hours a day and $500 on shit to make their refrigerators look like a grocery store. While we can shake our fingers at the audiences of these influencers all we want, the truth is that their ability to influence is only a part of the problem. The real issue are the creators who garner influence from lies and covert manipulation. I really appreciate YouTuber Susanna Frieson's series on things that influencers want you to think are normal but really aren't. I'll link those videos down below. Simeon Brown, author of Get Rich or Lie Trying, Ambition to Deceit in the New Influencer Economy, told Days following the publication of his book that social media is the most exploitative frontier of late-stage capitalism. He outlines a shift where the ruthless values of Wall Street have filtered down into a young market desperate for financial success and freedom. It's bad enough to be caught in your lies about your lifestyle and content. Shout out to the creator Hannah Alonso for doing some of that legwork. But it's borderline masochistic to go online and admit to it. In the lead up to the TikTok ban, creators and audiences alike felt as though the end of the world was looming. The app that they relied on for content and money was about to go dark. When people feel like time is running out, they do impulsive things based on their emotions. One day, I was 15, on the bus on my way home from school one day when a tornado touched down. Crying, worried that these may be my last moments, I messaged my crush to tell him that I have liked him for a while now. All he said in response was, "I could tell." I then exited the bus and walked right into the towering twister. Although some influencers confess to manipulating their audiences by raw dogging it, most people in those final moments instead used a treading sound from an episode of Family Guy. In a panic room close to drowning with half his family, Peter confesses that he in fact did not care for the popular movie The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
What? Confessions range from harmless jokes, including the Duolingo mascot exposing himself, to influencers admitting that they lied about the very thing that they built their entire platforms off of. Since the ban, I've seen plenty of people downplay these admissions to harmless jokes and just TikTok gossip. Now, while an influencer lying about ice cubes is obviously not the worst thing to happen to the world, in the grand scheme of things, the normalization of this kind of behavior can prove to be dangerous for audiences. Influence works when it is credible. When it is corrupted, when there is no transparency, when it is based on lies, and when we're clearly being taken for fools, influence doesn't work. When it becomes a contract in which somebody is told to make a certain number of mentions on certain channels in exchange for a certain amount of money, they stop being an influencer and become something else, a mercenary. Influencers recommend what they know, what they like, what they know is good based on a supposedly superior level of expertise to you and me. If you do not have that experience and you simply sell what you have been told to sell, you are not an influencer. No matter how glamorous it sounds, you are simply a walking advertisement. Let's go through some of these popular creator confessions. One influencer who is popular for her content involving ice cubes, let me elaborate. Her content where she makes hundreds of different kinds of ice cubes admitted that she never actually ate any of the ice cubes. Now, she didn't waste them. Instead, her family and friends were apparently arriving at her freezer door in flocks to share some of the ice. In one comment, she clarifies that she likes her beverages room temp. Now I know for certain that she is a sociopath. A common sarcastic reply under these videos are comments along the lines of this one. "You're telling me you didn't eat ice cubes with flowers and fruit in them?" In essence, viewers were far from tricked or surprised that a creator wasn't actually eating the exorbitant amount of ice cubes she made in her ice restock videos. Now, I'm not trying to attack this specific commenter, but I do think that comments like these are largely unhelpful. Why do we just assume that everyone online can tell real from fake? If anything, we should be happy that some people still have enough naivete left to believe that someone who built their entire following around ice cubes would actually eat the fucking ice cubes. Some of her most popular videos are these kinds of ice restocks. The thing is, this creator isn't just selling an idea, she's selling actual products. While she was lying by admission about her consumption of these ice cubes, she was selling every ice tray to her audience through her Amazon storefront. She was, in my opinion, being disingenuous to make her audience mindlessly consume and therefore make her more money than she knows what to do with. Even if this influencer never sold a single product, she still sold a lifestyle. And however ridiculous that lifestyle is, it's still one that some people may have wanted to imitate. Influencers are skilled at making you want something that you never actually needed. Through her early content, she made people want to create all different kinds of ice cubes. A large percentage of her following was built off of this kind of content. We shouldn't be commenting, "We listen and we don't judge." No, we should be judging. Another example of a line influencer was popular makeup creator Meredith Duxbury. Meredith's entire shtick for years has been applying 10 pumps of foundation onto her face and then somehow ending up with a decent looking face of makeup. To the skilled viewer, it's obvious that her content is within the makeup genre of rage bait online. Shocked viewers will comment, "How did she blend out all that foundation?" Or, "Why are you wasting all that makeup?" Getting her more engagement and in turn, more views. This strategy has clearly worked well for her since she's one of the most popular makeup influencers on TikTok with an astounding 18 million followers. To the unskilled viewer, however, maybe someone who is very young or old, or just very naive, they may have actually fallen for this. Meredith has been employing this foundation technique for years. Recently, though, she has seemingly stopped with this kind of content, applying a normal amount of foundation in her newer makeup application videos. In a video from last April, she explained why she stopped posting videos using that technique, saying that she is in her soft girl era and modeling more, where this amount of makeup doesn't make sense. Although, she still loves to rage bait by wasting product. In another video from last April with over 30 million views, she applies a near psychopathic amount of sunscreen onto her face, all while making a pretty penny on the sponsorship. I'm surprised it was actually marked as a paid partnership. Meredith posted her own confession on that fateful January day, admitting that she did wipe off some of the foundation, although in the caption she wrote, "Or did I?" Cosmopolitan reported that people in the comments section question the impact that admissions like these may have for influencers in the future. I feel this trend isn't actually helping these influencers become relatable. It's just confirming for us who we can trust and who we can't. One person said, as another agreed, imagine TikTok doesn't get banned and now no one trusts you. To that, Meredith replied, ha ha ha, it's a joke. It's not just a joke though. You built a career off of this technique, adamantly saying in multiple videos that this is how you actually did your makeup, profiting off of the rage you induced in your audience when they saw you treat them like they were stupid for not believing you.
I use 10 pumps of foundation, and that's what personally works best for me. I do not remove all the foundation and redo my makeup. Number one conspiracy right now is that I redo all my foundation off camera. And that is just simply not true. Rubbing the foundation in with my hands is just the way that works best for me. I'm a full glam queen, and this is just the way I like it.
It's not just silly makeup influencer drama, it's actual lies and manipulation. She can backtrack and say it's a joke all she wants, but I find that hard to believe. There is a very real possibility that she's just lying about lying to get more views. That is a possibility, you just gotta say that. The problem is that success in this world is not as attainable as some make it seem. An addiction to accruing followers by any means necessary is warping human behavior on and offline. For many influencers, deception is lucrative. Another creator who was popular for her mukbangs admitted that she spit out most of the food that she ate in her videos. Now, like the other examples, this doesn't seem all that surprising. Plenty of mukbang creators cut their videos at convenient times to make it seem like they're actually eating 20 pounds of food. Well, except for Nick Avocado, but he is different.
First time. That looks like salad.
However, this creator was also popular for being skinny. The fact that she was thin and could eat all this food without gaining weight was a biogenic anomaly. Except it wasn't. If she had actually eaten all that food, she would likely have not been able to maintain her thin physique. Essentially, she was profiting off of being a beautiful and thin woman who could eat a bunch of food without disgusting viewers. Let's admit it, audiences don't want to see someone who's morbidly obese stuff their face with food. But a skinny woman? Well, that's something they can get behind. All in all, it's probably a good thing that she didn't eat all the food since it would have been extremely unhealthy to do so, but she still, in my opinion, profited off of the lie that she was able to maintain being skinny while eating pounds of junk food. Obviously she, like Meredith and the Ice Girl, allegedly wasted food and product just for content, I guess. Another influencer named Lexi Hidalgo, I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. Another influencer named Lexi Hidalgo posted a video confessing that one of her main shticks, making and drinking coffee while talking casually to the camera, was fake. She never actually drank the coffee. Now, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but what's worse though is that she admitted that she never did half of the workouts that she posted. She posted a follow-up video after she felt that people were misconstruing her words, saying, "I did the workouts, just not when I posted them." Obviously, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. She's not scamming people because she did her workouts at a different time than when she filmed them. The filming was only for demonstrative purposes. What I don't understand though is why she would word her original confession video like that if that's not what she meant. It makes sense to me that people would view someone saying that they didn't do the workouts to mean that they didn't do the workouts. If this was true, it would be extremely damaging, as she is a very conventionally attractive woman with a body that's aspirational to many other women. If she never did half of the workouts, then she was lying by omission, making it seem like what she was posting to her audience was what helped her get her body. I guess we'll only have to take her word for it, but I'm dubious to say the least. Whenever there is a cultural pushback against influencers' too polished aesthetics or cynical cash grabs, it's not as though the whole industry collapsed. It simply shifts to accommodate whatever aesthetic takes its place. Again, I need to make it clear that these lies are not in the least the worst things that these people could have confessed to, but they are lies nonetheless. Some influencers came back after the ban with their tail tucked between their legs, making apology videos. Others wrote off what they said as a joke, and others acted like nothing happened. The most confusing part of this trend overall was the fact that their audiences outside of the US would not be going dark, and therefore would see their last confessions on TikTok until the end of time. On top of this, it's not like these creators aren't on other platforms like Instagram. Do you really think your audience isn't going to call you out on there too? It's not like people are exclusive with TikTok. I mean, I personally believe in polygamy, but that's besides the point. What was even more embarrassing was the fact that TikTok literally came back 14 hours later. It's like my tornado story. I had to see the motherfucker the next day at school. The confessions in the lead up to the TikTok ban exposed a larger problem with influencers online, that many of them are liars. In a Pop Sugar article about lying influencers, the author writes, their content is meant to be aspirational, but also serviceable, which is what makes these confessions especially disappointing. The reality is, we live in an era where anyone and everyone can claim to be an expert, especially on social media. Now, every influencer is not a liar or a scammer. In fact, I've seen many marginalized influencers frustrated with the way big influencers seem to get away with this kind of behavior so often.
Because this has been bothering me. I feel like some of the big creators that have gotten away with lying to their followers and subscribers over the years really ruin it for a lot of other smaller, especially POC and Black creators, where people are doing like, oh my gosh, since TikTok is gone, or like everybody's gonna I have something to tell you, and they're basically dropping their confessions. A lot of the ones that I've seen have been big creators. These same people who have these followers, and their followers are just like, oh my gosh, you lied to us, all influencers are liars. I know for a fact part of the reason why a lot of people think like that, especially underneath our posts and comment stuff like that, is because of the large creators that lie. Y'all ruin it for everybody else. The same amount of grace that y'all extend to large creators is never extended to us. We could never get away with doing something like how large creators do.
It's not at all surprising that white influencers are let off the hook more often when you consider the literal racial pay disparity between white and non-white creators. YouTuber Madison Brown talked about this in her recent video on the, as she calls it, influencer industrial complex. So I'll link that down below. A few months back, The Guardian reported on a pay gap report from the UK-based 76 agency, which shows that influencers of Southeast Asian descent made an average of £700 a sponsored post video on Instagram, 57% less than the average £1,638 for white influencers. South Asian, Black, and East Asian influencers are also paid lower amounts, with average fees of £1,135, £1,080, and £1,010 respectively. Influencers were shown to have made more money, according to the report, if they had lighter complexions or straighter hair. There have been plenty of accounts from non-white creators sharing their experiences with being treated lesser than their white counterparts, whether that's getting paid less, not receiving PR, getting less brand deals, or even being put in segregated rooms on fucking brand trips. Nimai Ndolo, a Black comedy creator with 1.9 million TikTok followers, said, "We have to be perfect before brands will even touch us. And it sucks, because like, you know, perfection is hard to attain. And why are we forced to reach perfection when white influencers can just do whatever?" At the end of the day though, influencers are here to influence. Duh. More specifically, to influence us to buy things. There is serious inequality within the industry, and I don't want to undercut smaller influencers who actually have integrity. But influencer content is still antithetical to my personal beliefs. At the end of the day, the influencers are just a symptom, and by virtue of the literal job description, make money by taking sponsorship deals from consumer brands. They're not the ones who will be lighting the way towards an online anti-capitalist backlash. When the de-influencing trend was taking off a couple years ago, influencers used it as a cash grab in order to get viewers to mindlessly consume even more. As Rebecca Jennings writes, what started as a rare glimpse into what professional salespeople truly feel and believe, however, immediately became a rather ingenious sales pitch once the hashtag caught on. Instead of influencing people to buy stuff, influencers who tagged their posts de-influencing were simply posting negative reviews of products they didn't think were worth the money, and, more often than not, telling you what to buy instead. One was captioned, "Showing you products that can potentially help with overconsumerism." Social media is fake. Everyone online lies to some extent, but the lies that we are told by our favorite creators all vary in severity. Sure, there are influencers out there who are honest, but in order to get people to buy the products that they're pushing, they, in my opinion, have to lie to some extent. You need to make a viewer think that whatever you're selling is the next thing that they need to buy. In reality, no one needs half of the products that these people are selling, but if they didn't make it tantalizing, if they didn't give people FOMO, then they would never make a commission. Maybe I am really stretching the definition of lying. Someone will surely make a comment about it, but I don't think I am. It's not surprising, unfortunately, that these influencers were apparently lying about their content for literal years. The influencers at the very top sell a lavish and unrealistic lifestyle. If you just spend like they do, use the products that they do, then you could live like them too. But that's not true. Author and journalist Simeon Brown said, "Capital is the biggest winner out of these spaces, and fundamentally these platforms are capital intensive. On top of this, the more blatantly dishonest influencers have a serious problem with undisclosed sponsorships." Whenever people online bring this up, there's always a cohort of people who act like undisclosed sponsorships aren't actually that big of a deal. But they are. Beyond the fact that it's illegal, because the law isn't a morality guide by any means, undisclosed sponsorships are also deeply unethical. Audiences deserve to know whether a creator is being paid to talk about a product, because believe it or not, money can affect someone's view on things. Money is an incredible motivator. Ask Mark.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
According to a 2017 study by influencer marketing agency Media Kicks, of the most followed celebrities on Instagram, 93% had failed to meet the FTC endorsement rules at the time. Some influencers get around not disclosing sponsorships by hiding the text in a video, like placing it behind where their username will be when the video is actually posted, or putting it on the screen for only a moment. Another tactic is hiding the hashtags that disclose the video as an ad deep within the caption. In June, the Federal Trade Commission released the first update to its endorsement ad guidelines in a decade, with an eye to influencer marketing. Among other refinements, the update defines a clear and conspicuous endorsement disclosure as one that is difficult to miss, example, easily noticeable, and easily understandable by ordinary consumers. The update also says all parties in a marketing campaign can be held liable for breaches, including the content creator.
Guys, you have to try this eyeliner. It changed my life. This is the All-May, all-day black eyeliner. So I'm just gonna do demonstrative purposes. You know, that happens sometimes. You know, if your delivery man's a little rough, you know, unfortunately my Amazon Prime delivery guy's a little rough with the packages. If it gets jumbled around enough, well, that can happen. I do fortunately have another one over here. Let's try this one. You know what? I think I can still use it. There's still some in there from the bottom right. Yeah, there we go. So I absolutely love this eyeliner. It's one of my favorites. In fact, it may be my favorite because it just glides on so easily. Look at that, so beautiful. And one of my favorite, you guys know I love the smudge eyeliner. One of my favorite things, it's so easy to smudge. I love that. I need that in eyeliner. Just watch how easy it is to smudge. There, look, it's so beautiful. Like I said, this is one of my favorite eyeliners. I'm just gonna put it over here real quick. One of my favorite eyeliners. And I'm gonna leave a link down below. Highly suggest you all check it out. And yeah, we're gonna end this here. Okay, bye.
Influencers confessing their lies on TikTok isn't just silly influencer drama. Again, maybe some of you will think that I'm completely blowing this out of proportion, but I don't think I am. A lot of the comments that I read under these creators' videos were very forgiving. Many people didn't seem to think that what these creators were confessing to was that big of a deal. And while I agree to some extent, the thing is, when you normalize these huge influencers lying about things that aren't that big of a deal, you could be unintentionally normalizing others, or even these same creators to lie about very serious things. Maybe it starts with someone admitting that they weren't doing some of their workouts, and then it leads to them posting actual health misinformation. I'm not saying that any of the creators that I spoke about today are doing this, but who's to say that they aren't lying about more serious things? Things that they wouldn't dare to admit to online. They admitted, for no real reason, might I add, to lying about the content that made them gain an influence in the first place. How are their audiences supposed to trust them in the future? In 2024, a UNESCO study found that 62% of surveyed creators said that they don't vet the accuracy of content before sharing it with their followers. Rather than verifying information, more than 4 in 10 influencers said they evaluated a source's credibility by popularity, the number of likes and views it had received, while 1 in 5 said trusted friends and experts were the most common factor in determining an online source's credibility. Only 17% said documentation and evidence was their top factor in gauging credibility. It's not necessarily a bad thing to trust content creators as a source of news. The mainstream media is not 100% trustworthy like some want to make it seem. We should be critical of the information that we're seeing not only on CNN or MSNBC though, but also the information that is being given to us by our favorite influencer, whether that's politics or health related. Although, most influencers could care less about what's going on in the world right now. They're more likely to lie by claiming that CeraVe claimed their acne when they were actually using Accutane, not post incorrect information about tariffs. We live in an era where almost anyone can get famous quickly online, making tons of money from whatever catapulted them into that fame. If audiences are okay with being lied to about a foundation technique, then they're more likely to fall for and accept other lies that may or may not be actually harmful to them and a wider audience. Tell a lie once and all your truths become questionable. Or, in the minds of some of these viewers, tell a lie once and we'll never question you. So many people have accepted the lies that influencers sell because to them, we should all know by now that they lie. But why does that make it okay? Why are people so quick to write off bad behavior because it's just the way it is? I think we're forgetting that the word influence is in the name. And when we give untrustworthy people that power, it can cause real harm. This is why we shouldn't believe everything that we see online. I mean, you guys probably shouldn't even trust me. I've been lying about being queer this entire time. I mean it. I just really like saying facts. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you all know that what I said in my recent video, it was a joke. You know, that's kind of like my whole thing. You know, I say something shocking and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And it's funny because it's like, oh my God, who would say that, right? And you know, it's like iDubbbz and Tanamoto, like, you know, like, say. Well, that's it for me, and that's it for this video. Comment down below, what did you think about these influencers admitting to their lies? What do you think about the influencer market in general? Just comment down below anything you want to comment down below. I always appreciate reading all of your comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like me, you can subscribe. I post videos about whatever I feel like talking about, so if that sounds like your thing, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know when I post a video. Before the video ends, I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon members who are part of my Alpha and Delta tiers. Thank you so much to Zelkova Salts, Olivia Schutt, Romana Zarovko, Mail-in Weird Items, and Dallas Andrade. I really, truly appreciate the fact that all of you have decided to support me. It really means a lot to me. And seriously, thank you to all of my Patreon members. If you want to become a member, the link will be down below. Anyway, I really hope you all enjoyed this video, but more importantly than that, I really hope I see you in the next video. I better see you in the next video, right? I say that every time, I really mean it. You're gonna be there, right?